What's up, my beautiful black people? Welcome to the Black Wealth Project, the weekly town hall meeting. This is the meeting where we talk about black wealth issues every week. We believe in feeding the soil before we take the crops off the trees. So today we're going to talk about black trauma. And it seems like we've got a whole bunch of black trauma all around us, from police shootings to civilian shootings, unarmed black folks. There's a lot going on out here, and we want to know, how do you all deal with it? How are you all managing with it? I know our team has been impacted by it some, so we're going to talk about that tonight. And by the way, check in. Let us know what you're doing, where you're at, and how you doing. So what's up, team? How are y'all?
Yo,
Man, I ain't got
yo.
no complaints. Man, everything good. I
No,
mean,
listen. Just so you know, if you hear a loud crash, you see me jump. I think my ceiling fan about to fall. It's doing like my ceiling fan like this right now. I think it's about to come down. So if you hear a crash, don't be alarmed.
Okay. What's your duck game like though?
My what?
Your duck game. You want to get out the way.
Oh no, it's over there. I think I'll be all right. Listen. Here's the thing. If it get hit, it's good TV. It's okay. Don't worry.
yeah, we gonna go viral. Bow,
Yeah.
movie.
World star. What's up with you, Jimmy? How you doing?
Oh man, listen, I woke up this morning, man. It's to the point now with everything going on in the world. Just waking up is like amazing. So I can't complain, man. Ain't nobody listening. You know what I'm saying? So I'm doing amazing, man.
All right, that's what's up. That's what's up. Well, as everybody can see, we are running a little light today. We ain't got the bomb squad. We ain't got the ladies with us tonight. So it's a whole bunch of testosterone tonight. So this is going to be an interesting show. But Corey's out driving in the heartland somewhere. I think he's down south, Mississippi. Goddamn it! But I think he'll be back with Alabama. I think it might be Alabama. But I think he'll
Yeah,
be back soon. He'll be in.
Alabama.
All right. Well, let's proceed with the show as regular. Wealth check-in. How's everybody doing? First of all, we're talking about trauma. How are you doing mentally? Because we always talk about health from a physical aspect. How are you doing mentally?
Man, I'll start this off, man. So I had another amazing week, from a standpoint of what I'm putting in my body, but also from working out. Shout out to the Peloton, man, changed my life. But so just trying to stay sane, man, because it's definitely tough, and we're going to get into it on this show. But everything going on, like we were having a conversation before we came on about people being lynched in South Philly, like you know what I'm saying, like and it's just so much crazy that's going on.
Go ahead.
I mean, I know, I understand that, but the fact of the matter is, even though like it's probably a hoax and it might not be true, like the fact that we got to think about it is kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Like, we talk about South Philly, man. Like, anyway, but the fact that we debate it is an issue in itself. And just everything, man. I don't want to like get into our main topic already, but trying to stay sane, man. But like I said, when you just get up these days, man, I just gotta be thankful for that, man. So I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain, in terms of the health check-in. Everything's going
You lose
good.
any more weight this week, Jimmy?
Yeah, man. So far I'm down total since June. Since June, I'm down 44 pounds, man. My objective is before the next year, I'm trying to lose a total of 100 pounds from June to December. So that's my goal. I'm almost halfway there. I'm about 44 down. So,
So
one of my
44
goals
down.
this year, 44
Okay.
pounds down, with a goal of getting to a being by the end of the year. So, one of my goals this year was not only to continue to build wealth, but try to, live a healthier lifestyle and just do better. You know what I mean? Get my life right in terms of that. So yeah, man. So everything's good, man. That's why I said I really can't complain, man. Because woke up today, man, and everything's good.
I know that's right. Well, congratulations on that, man. I meant to salute you last week when you announced 43, but now
Yeah, it's
you're
another one.
4, so you dropped another one.
Yeah, man. So if I average, I'm doing the math. If I do 2 to 3 a week, average that out. And right now, since I started, I'm averaging about like little close to 4 actually. So if I keep up at the same pace, I should be okay. But just trying to stay focused, man. Trying to get
Okay.
more years. Trying to get more years. I'm working the rule of 72. You realize I'm trying to stay around more to work the numbers.
How you doing, Malik?
I'm all right, man. Like, I didn't get a whole bunch of fitness this week, so up and down 3 flights of steps, chasing these boys around. I didn't get a bunch of fitness in. my health was pretty good. So my wife, man, she bought these high honey cheese curls, and so other than those, I've been doing pretty okay. I never even saw them before, but yeah, she got hot honey cheese curls, and I kind of crushed that bag. But otherwise, I've been all right.
Yo, I can only imagine what the sodium count is on them joints.
Oh man, I don't talk about it. I don't want to talk about it at all. Really.
Mentally, how are you?
I mean, mentally, I'm still a little stressed. I ain't been to the beach yet, this year. I haven't been to the beach in a long time, actually. So, I like to get my feet in the salt water, feet in the sand, but I'm like, yeah, I got these kids, man. So as long as I'm around them, I'm sane, but I'm insane at the same time. Like they're
Yep.
here and I'm happy, but they're here and they get on my nerves all at the same time, man. So,
Yep. They always ready to break something. I know the feeling.
always.
All right. Well, my week was pretty good. I got out on a bike, rode a little bit. I got about 15 miles in, better than a week before that. So I'm getting back up there. My goal is to get to 50 miles a week at a minimum. That's the goal. That's the goal. And I got to get back on my run because I'm doing like this virtual Broad Street run since Broad Street was canceled this year because I usually do it every year. So me and a whole crew of mine. So I'm starting to get ready for that. That ain't gonna be fun, but I'm gonna do
How
it.
you gonna do it virtually?
That's what I'm thinking.
We'll just run Broad Street and log our time. We'll do the 10 miles because Broad Street really is like 10.5, but I ain't gonna go all the way down to the Navy Yard. I'll just stop at like Patterson or something like that.
Okay.
So it's all good. But that idea of thinking about a lynching in South Philly is crazy.
Yeah,
and I got tagged on a post with a young lady who said that was her family member. So, I could only imagine, just the thought of that and your family is crazy. And, we're seeing a lot of crazy-ish. I mean, we Black folks always see a lot of crazy-ish, but it's on fleek now. It's something else.
It's something else going on. Energy's off this year, man. Malik, you all right, man? I see you keep looking up.
Yeah, I think it's gonna fall, man. It might fall. It's wobbling, man. So I'm about to turn. It's hot in here, man. But I'm putting the fan on. But I'm about to just turn the fan off. I'll be all right. It won't turn the fan off. It won't crash.
Sacrifice one for the team, man. We're gonna go viral. You know what I'm saying? be on the shade room, like a blogger fan falls on his head doing live broadcasts.
Yeah. That repeat gonna fall over everything, man.
All right, before we go to our Black Business of the Week, let's check in with our peoples real quick. Don Johnson, how you doing, Don?
Don, what's good, King?
Just living life, still breathing, so I can't complain. I know that's right. Nairobi, how you doing?
Bro, what's good?
Thank you for being here another week. Congrats, Jimmy.
Appreciate that.
And Jabbar says good evening.
Oh, what's good, man?
All right, y'all. I know more of y'all out there. Check in. Let us know how you doing. Let us know how y'all make it out. Did y'all work out this week? Now, Jimmy, we got a BOB of the week, right?
Yeah, Black Business of the Week. Yep.
All right. So who we got?
All right. So I want to highlight Patience Foster. This is a young lady I actually read about in Black Enterprise. I talked about my love of Black Enterprise. So Patience Foster is a publicist, a brand manager, and she's the owner of her own agency, and she pretty much gets to it. And one of her clients that she's helped create a lot of opportunities is Cardi B is actually one of her clients. So many of the opportunities you see Cardi B with outside of music was because of this young lady here. So she's young, dope, still active right now. So I wanted to highlight her because a lot of times, we want to highlight people that just aren't on the forefront like as much as other folks and are still active right now. So reading her story was pretty inspiring. So yeah, her name is Patience Foster, and her let me get the name of her actual organization here because she actually has a company. Her marketing, it's called the Cream Agency, and she's been featured in Black Enterprise as well as Forbes magazine. It's called the Cream Agency. And she has a lot of successful clients, and she's doing her thing.
That's dope.
Peace, Patience.
I was trying to see if I could actually find the website, but it didn't come up. So We'll get back to it. We'll get back to
Yeah,
it. But
yeah, no doubt.
I mean, for the record, I love Cardi. I know a lot of people have issues with Cardi, but I personally think Cardi's dope. You may not like her music, but I like the energy that she puts out there. So I think,
And I also like just highlighting folks that are in that business that aren't necessarily the talent up front, because a lot of those folks don't get their just due. And I mean, they create a lot of opportunities, and we have, you know, a nice penetration of people within. I mean, we need more. We always need more in every industry. We need more folks to look like us.
that's
But
right.
those that are out there doing it, you know, we should highlight them as well, because in terms of marketing, promotion, and branding, like, you know, we have a lot of successful folks. So, you know, it was dope to see a young black lady who's killing it out there.
Absolutely. Now, Jimmy, what is this I'm seeing here? Just saw the Brandy meme. Are you dropping memes while we're on the show?
I mean, I dropped it about an hour ago, but it is fire. I mean, I'm listening, man. You know, I got it one a day, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like a vitamin, man. One a day. You know what I
don't
mean?
drop one a day. You be dropping like 3 and 4 a day.
No.
sometimes.
That's Coach Carter down there, man. Oh, my fault. Cover Carl Carter.
Hey, listen,
Cover Carl Carter go ham. Like, he don't drop one. He drops 4 at a time.
Hey,
No,
Adrian,
I didn't really drop this week, man. I'm saving it. Like the one he posted earlier, I couldn't mess with that at all. That joke was just too crazy. So I gotta save my heat for
Brandy
next
one?
week.
oh, shucks. Yeah, I'm gonna have to put a stop to Jimmy, y'all.
I mean, wait
So
till you see
listen,
the see the Monica one for tomorrow. I already got that lined up, but that's either here or there, man. Let's go.
Y'all are not familiar, right? So I see a couple of my folks are brand new here. What's up, Natasha? How you doing? How you been? Haven't worked out in a minute. Do the offset back. Yeah, I saw that. But you know, the comeback trails is always a familiar one and always a great one. But come on back, get in the saddle. Dave Foster, my man, how you doing? So listen, if y'all don't watch the week and y'all are new here, we have a battle of the best financial memes, right? I'm the king, but I'm just kind of in right now. Jimmy is like kind of filling in while I'm on sabbatical.
I'm the GOAT. Like, so the thing is, like, the people have crowned me the GOAT. I'm beyond king at this point. Like, I'm a legend. I'm literally a legend. So it's like I'm not even in competition no more. I'm
So
like,
my
butts is up in the Hall of Fame already.
So if y'all hear us talk about memes, that's what we talk about. We try to add a little levity, a little fun to.
What was it? Oh, you ain't pull up the one that Jimmy Clinton, I think, like Monday and Tuesday.
Oh, Simply Red. I ended the game. Yo, when I put the Simply Red up, people was like, "Yo, you're not in competition no more. Like, you're just, you're out here."
I can't even front. Like, he killed me on that. I had to fall back.
That's my song too. I had to give him props on that.
Yeah, listen, when Kamari gives me props, I know it's fire. You're like, you know what I'm saying? Kamari was like, "Yo, that was fire." I was like, "Hold up. If Kamari give me props, I know I did something right." That's almost like Malik giving Kamari props.
Yeah, exactly. No. Nothing is better than Malik giving Kamari. I don't dog you out. All right, so Monica's checking in. Hey, Monica, Jimmy keeps us both motivated to get on this expensive ass Peloton to beat our health goals. I know that's right. Monica for the win. Now I will say this, right? I looked at and Dave Foster could help me with this. I looked at one of those stand bikes where I can put my bike on a stand and pedal for there. It's like
a trainer, right? Okay.
A trainer. Thank you. Yeah, it's a trainer. So, Dave, if you got any recommendations, let me know.
Yo, but Dave gets busy, man. Dave be like getting on his bike and going like 700 miles. Like,
listen, I follow Dave on Strava. I ain't messing with that boy, man.
Yo, Dave a beast. Dave be like, yo, I'm leaving from Philly. Dave go from Philly to Vegas in one day just on some like, you know.
When I first came across, bro, I think my son, it was a long time ago, and that's when I was still riding like 40 miles a weekend. So I felt like I ain't did that in a long time. Now I see this boy, like, I'm like, damn, every day, bro. You don't take no days off?
No.
Yo, like He gets busy. His name Dave Armstrong.
Minus the dope.
Yeah, minus the dope. My fault. Yeah, minus the dope. Got to put that out there.
Can't do Dave dirty like that. But all right, folks, Corey's back. You know, he's out there somewhere down south trying to dodge the KKK. But he's back and he's with us.
Easy, young Jeezy. Yo, man, we are out here, man. I'm out here. I'm out here. I ain't dodging nobody's KKK, man. I be in and out of Birmingham. You know, my pop live down here, so I be out. I've been coming down here since I was a kid. so I'm used
Stay,
to it.
stay in Birmingham though, fam. Don't go to outskirts of Birmingham, man.
Hey, man,
He go to
O'Connor,
Hoover. You go to Hoover. Listen, Birmingham. Listen, Birmingham. Story.
I mean, I've been to Birmingham. I've been to Hoover. I've been to Bessemer. I just drove by the University of Alabama campus. I've been on Auburn campus. I've been on Tuskegee. I get around down here, man. You know what I mean? I'm a Philly boy, but I get around a little bit, man.
Okay.
Listen, Birmingham, man, they got the House of Pancakes up there, John.
What happened with pancakes?
They got the I think the original International House of Pancakes is Birmingham.
Damn,
I don't know, man.
that.
I don't eat at IHOP.
I ain't familiar with that, by the way.
I couldn't tell you.
Nah, it's not.
Yeah, I'm good.
Listen,
Shout
it's
out.
not. It's
Shout out.
not.
I don't
It's
eat
not.
at IHOP.
No. It's not IHOP. What I'm telling you is that's the
House of Pancakes.
IHOP are based off of that one, but that one is there in Birmingham. That's just hella good. It's not like IHOP.
So hold on, y'all. Shout out to Adrian. She back to 3 days a week. Plus, she on the track and she doing Pilates. She trying to kill it.
Okay.
That's what's up.
Calandra, how are you? Welcome. And Khan, how you doing, sir? How you been?
Good.
All right. So as we move on to our main topic for today we are talking about Black trauma, in particular, how everybody's dealing with Black trauma, especially as it relates to building wealth for yourself, your family, and your overall community. So Malik, how you been dealing with all this, man? What you been seeing out here?
Hey, listen, man. Don't have me crying again. The last podcast I was on, Kamari Me and him, I'm gonna put that crying in the journey talking about trauma. I didn't realize how things that I had seen, when I was working in public housing, was still, affecting me now. I almost started crying in that episode. But so
By the way,
that episode just cry, go to Financial Rebel episode, whatever I'm on with Kamari. It'd be up there. So so I didn't realize that I was still affected, right, by some of the murders and everything. Like, so in particular, talking about, there was a guy, he got shot in the head. I was the second, me and my supervisor were the first one to see, and he had his brain, brain matter, literally dripping in the door, and seeing that kind of stuff, and it wasn't necessarily that affected me, but what affected me more is when they rolled him outside and his kids had to see him on a stretcher. I was affected. It was 3 kids. I was affected by their reaction more so than him actually being killed on a stretcher. That affected me. And like I said, until Kamari episode, I didn't realize how much that I was still affected by that. And mind you, I haven't worked at Blumberg and since 2010. Almost 10 years ago, 9 years ago, probably. And I still carry that and didn't even know it until we started to talk about it. So it's effective. And then one last thing I'm gonna say is I made the mistake is somebody posted pictures of the shooting in Portland. I'm reading the story and they just got pictures of the dude stretched out. I'm like, y'all got to give warnings and graphic warnings. Had I known that was there, I never would even read the article.
Yeah, I get caught in those sometimes too because I try to avoid them altogether. I don't want to see nothing graphic at all, just because I've seen so much of it over my life, and now I don't want to be bothered with any of that at all. So, I mean, some of them actually do have the viewer's discretion sign now, but it's not 100 proof. It's not 100 proof at all. So what about you, Jimmy? How are you dealing with all this?
It's been very difficult. This entire year has been tough, right? But it's interesting in thinking about trauma. I've actually been thinking about this the last several days before we decided to even make this a topic. Because on our podcast, our weekly podcast, we have a guy coming on this Wednesday, a guy named Russell. He's a crypto trader. And he shared a story. I'm not going to tell his whole story, but he talked about how the trauma that he had being a young man affected him as a trader. And he actually had to work on his psychology. It was nothing to do with, how he set up his trades or his analysis. It was his trauma of not having, and because of that, he made certain trades. Right. So I've been thinking about this since then, and it's just been very difficult. What happened recently with Chadwick Boseman And as I'm going down my timeline, I'm reading that, and then I see like murders of young black men, like in Philadelphia. Then I'm looking at another one. I'm seeing black men dying of corona still. It's just been very difficult. And how this ties into black wealth, it ties in a lot, not just the psychology of people who have dealt with trauma their entire life and how they position themselves to even want to invest or want to do right. Because one of the things I recognize in talking to trying to do work in the community, right? So Corey and I do a lot of work in the community. And when you talk to young men who've seen and been through some of the trauma, the reason that they're in the streets the way they are is because they don't even feel like they're going to, make it to 30 or make it to 40. So when you talk to them about investing and building wealth and taking care of family, they're like, dude, I'm not even going to be here in 10 years. And understanding that that's something that a lot of our young men carry with them in terms of what trauma does to them. So I think it's interesting. And it's also one of those things where people just can't relate, right? Being a black man, specifically speaking from someone from Philadelphia, like there's certain things that you guys relate to in terms of, my story or my experiences, but most people won't even be able to relate to that, to understand how trauma can affect you in every way you move, financially, mentally, spiritually, relationship wise. Because at some point you just get tired. Like I haven't seen the George Floyd video to this day because I just got tired of seeing trauma porn. That to me, that's what it is at this point. It's trauma porn. Like, and I feel like at some level they like showing these kind of things. They like showing these images and this stuff to us. But it's very bothersome. It is very bothersome.
But oddly enough, we share a lot of it. Sadly, I'm very intentional. I try not to share any fights, any shootings, any stabbings, nothing violent on my pages, on my timeline at all, because it is. Now, occasionally, if I think it's something that's really bad, I might share it, but 9 times out of 10, I'm not sharing nothing violent at all. Because you're going to see it so much. It's like this week, right? Again, shout out to Chadwick Boseman. I meant to actually do a moment of silence for him at the top of the show. But, we're seeing an onslaught of Chadwick Boseman quotes, videos, and that's going to be going for a while. And I mean, he had a major impact, but just switch that out for the violence, and it's like a million times worse. And so, I don't want to see that. I'm like Malik. When I hit them by accident, sometimes I actually get mad because I'm like, I don't need none of that.
Yeah. But how does it affect you in terms of when you think of black wealth? How does that tie into you?
I mean, for me, it's very much like you said. I'll be honest. Some days, man, like I watched that kid in Kenosha shoot the Black Lives Matter march, shoot that up, and I'm just like, man, we doing all this for what? When somebody can just come along, cavalierly just shoot at us at the blink of an eye, get treated well, just like my man down in South Carolina, they got him the burger, and may not even be truly prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And it's really a shame. It's truly a shame that black lives to this day truly still don't matter. That black lives to this day are still seen as subhumans or animals. And to me, that's what all the trauma kind of takes me to. It's like, man, we still are kind of in a way playing to the old media tropes that, again, we're all monkeys and we're all animals. And it's showing a lot of that we can just be killed like a savage dog on the street. And it's really sad. It's really sad.
I mean, trauma is so crazy, right? Like there's certain things that we have to deal with that no one will ever be able to understand, right? So even I was having a conversation with my wife, and we were talking about where we want to go once all this is up and we want to travel again. And one of the things we always look at in terms of travel is how do they treat black folks? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of that goes back to trauma, right? Those are things that the average person, like, the average non-melanated person doesn't even have to think about. They just walk the earth like it, like it's their turf. The earth is their turf. But there's certain things that we have to think about and certain traumas and things we deal with. For instance, I'm a law-abiding citizen, but when the cops get behind me, I get nervous.
I think we all.
That's trauma. I mean, it is though, but that's what that comes from. It comes from like, just understanding. A friend of mine asked me something earlier this week, and shout out to my brother Hank. He was asking me about like interactions with the police. Like, had the police ever done anything positive for you? And it just made me think about certain stories of interactions I've had with the police, and none of them have been positive, right?
I mean, I've had a couple, but
I'm not coming on here with no, like, because I just don't care one way or the other. But I'm just saying, like, I've had situations with police, like, and again, not even doing anything wrong. I've been thrown on the back of paddy wagons because they were bored as a kid. And Malik talks about how as you get older and you recognize how certain things still affect you. This is what I mean by trauma. And I'm not gonna get into every story because I have like multiple stories, right? I'll give you one as it pertains to black wealth, right? I had a property in Allegheny West, right? It was a vacant property. So one of the neighbors called me and says, yo, someone's like trying to squat in your crib. So I go around there, right? Trying to figure out what's going on. I got my deed, I got my legally registered firearm, but I call the cops, right? So the cops come, I tell them what's going on. You know what the cop told me? I said, yo, I do have my legal gun. He said, yo, go in there. If anything escalates, I'll be outside. They tried to send me into a situation, right? Where, no, this is a true story, right? But the funny thing about this story is I get in there, it didn't escalate to that point because the tenant got scammed too. There was a guy, he ended up getting arrested, but it was a guy in Philly who was going around renting out vacant homes. He would just like break the lock, change the lock, and rent them out and collect people's security deposit. So they got scammed too. But the funny thing is the cop tried to like send me in there, like, yeah, just go in there. And he was like, I'll be out here. If anything escalates, I hear some shots, I'll be out here. But just like stories like that, I have so many interactions like that. And how this all ties into trauma is
now you worrying about your rental property.
I'm worried about everything, man. Like, just certain worries that you have as a black man, like in dealing with that stuff day to day. And when you see the stories and all these things, it just starts to compile. And, it just mentally messes with you. It mentally messes with you. Like getting by day to day, like sometimes it's tough. It's just tough.
So let me jump in real fast. So we so just going back to the police officers and the trauma. I will say this, man. I've had some pretty decent interactions. I'm talking about from DUI in Carolina, and the cop were like, "Well, stay here till the morning, no ticket," like little stuff like that, little positive interaction. Mm-hmm. But my most traumatic moment, like dealing with the police, 2 black women, like ran up on me. I'm in my car, talking. Take my co-worker from home on Delhi Street, something like that. So, high traffic area. We in a car. They ran up, tried to pull on my door, bang the window, open the door, rummage through my glove box, and give me a parking ticket. And I said, yeah, give me a ticket. And the ticket said 2 males observed sitting in the car loitering. And I went to court, and the judge like, what? And he threw it out. But now that right there gives me a lot of mistrust. You just run in my car, like, so as there is trauma coming from the police level, and it is unfortunate that black women are the ones that gave me that trauma. That's a whole other thing.
That's crazy. I mean, I do have one incident. I will say this: like, I've had family on the force. I've had some good interactions. I know some good people on the force. I'm not anti-cop, but I've had a lot of bad transactions or interactions with police as well. I never forget my dad's office is still across the street from the 35th Police District. And I would go there every day after school. And when I was done, I would have to take the bus home. And one day I was coming out, I was trying to make the bus. I had on the outfit, I had on the uniform, right? I had on a black leather jacket, black pants, and black sneaks. I don't remember their Timbs or sneakers. I think they were sneakers.
So you was in the bad video.
Exactly. I had my book bag. So I'm running for the bus. And as I'm running for the bus, I'm the paddy wagon pulls around, and it just stops me, and they tell me to stop. And the bus is coming by, and I'm looking at the bus, I'm looking at the paddy wagon, and I'm like, I didn't do nothing. I literally just came out of my dad's office. You can see his office right there. It's the most lit thing on this block. And they just pulled me down, patted me down for nothing, because they said I fit the description. I was like either 14 or 15 at the time. And then ever since that, I've just had this nasty taste in my mouth. But, I try to keep it, right, because we do need police, right? Yeah,
and I don't want to turn this into a police bashing thing. I would just, Yeah, but I was just bringing it up in terms of trauma. Man, I had the police pull a gun on me before, and I didn't do anything. Like literally, like pull it. Like, and it's crazy because
that's part of our overall existence, though. I mean, so
Mm-hmm.
we're not making it an anti-police thing, but
yeah,
we're talking fact. I don't forget at 29th and Allegheny, I was riding with a bunch of my friends. We're in a car. Out of everybody in the car, they pulled me out. Everybody. Like, what's this about? But again, it's our experiences is different. And I see Corey keeps going in and out.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm saying that now when I think of how trauma affects Black wealth, right? A lot of times when we leave our neighborhoods, it's not because it's traumatic. Why your friends and family have been murdered there. You just hearing gunshots, hear all that, and you like, damn, I know the money is coming here, but I don't want to live here. I would rather not buy in these places, even though the money's coming. Let me go to the Northeast, or let me go to the county, let me go of other places so I can avoid the stuff that goes down here and like the neighborhood terrorists. Like most neighborhoods, it's only a handful of shooters. It's not like everybody in a neighborhood is a shooter. You just like it's a handful of people that just shoot everything up. And they make neighborhoods unbearable and add to the trauma of the people in the neighborhood.
So let's talk about this real quick, right? Piggybacking off of you, Malik. There's a lot of Black folks who don't even try to open up businesses in our community because of what you just mentioned. And then when we look at Uncle Bobby's, right? Uncle Bobby's has been vandalized at least 3 times. By the way, for the people that aren't in Philly, Uncle Bobby's is a Black-owned bookstore in the Germantown section that's owned by Dr. Mark Lamont Hill, who's on TV quite often. He's pretty popular. But his store has been broken about 3 times in the month of August alone. And so, that's got to be discouraging to people.
That's probably political. That's probably political. I don't think that's not people. I don't think people are breaking in and stealing, scones. I think that's more political of who he is. I don't know for sure. I don't know who's doing it, but to me, that would make sense. We're going to take the same business. Like if you're a thief, you're going to stick and move, go to the next spot. You're not going to keep in the same one as you keep hitting. I think that's more political than anything else. I think that's because of who he is.
Yeah, well, they stole the iPad, so I guess that's easy to get to, and he can't put up gates because it's deemed historic society. But even with a lot of the robberies at some of the Black-owned businesses in our community, a lot of people don't want to do that. A lot of the there was a time where there was a lot of Black delicatessens or Black bars, and they got robbed. And a lot of times they just sold out to Asian owners. So we've seen a lot of that. That's where the stop and goes came from.
Mm-hmm.
All those Black bars stop and goes now. Behind. I remember that. If you remember a few years ago, they were talking about trying to ban the plastic bulletproof glass in stores. But people but it's dangerous, sir. It's like,
But that comes from lack of opportunities, lack of income. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times we talk about the effect, but not the cause.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And what we need to do is start focusing on the cause. What's the cause of these things?
Yep.
You know what I mean? And also, when you talk about it being bought by a different ethnicity, how come they don't get robbed the same way? I mean, that's a whole another topic that we can.
They got bulletproof glass. I mean,
no, it's not just bulletproof glass because all of them don't even have it.
Right. Exactly.
And so that's a deeper issue.
So, I don't have the stats on that, but I don't know. But you do remember the cat at 54th and Spruce got shot with the AK-47. He took the fight. The bull had holes in his hand. He sprayed the bull with the holes, and tried to get the gun. And the guy shot him with the AK.
Mm-hmm.
Tried to rob him in the corner, right? But
all of those things are stressful and create trauma, and become deterrents to us pursuing money issues. But let's check in with a couple of these comments real quick before they get away from us. So Annette says videos are the new school equivalents of the modern day lynchings. Yeah, I would have to agree. Now this is deep. Don says I walked the streets in both Iraq and Afghanistan multiple times, and cops pulling me over has always been the biggest threat to my life. So he out there with the shooters and the IDs and he worried about coming home. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Rero said, I wish I knew what I know now. I was going 14 or 15 and got arrested for having drugs on me. Short story shorter, they took me to the district and took me in this little garage they had in the parking lot of 35. I know exactly what you're talking about. Stripped me down bare to the skin, but I was a minor and didn't know no better. That's crazy.
Man, listen.
That's crazy.
And that's another thing, right? So we got our own stories, but we also know plenty of people with other stories. Yeah. And all that stuff sits on you. You know what I mean? Like you just know it. Like, did you get Adrian's comment?
Oh no, did I miss it?
Yeah, the last comment was from Adrian. After that one, it's one there you go.
I try not to use the phrase a lot, but sometimes I feel like I have PTSD. Yeah, between dealing with people who call you animals, yeah, and it's sad. It's sad. She's ready to leave Chicago, head to Canada. I feel you. I feel you.
You know, so even Chicago, man, Chicago is like a whole, other level of shootings. I don't know about the murder rate anymore, but just the shootings, man. But even here, right? I've been living in a neighborhood for a long time, and it wasn't always the best neighborhood. It has been improving. But a couple of nights ago, my wife get home at about 11 o'clock. But a couple, like last weekend before, something like that. I mean, 49th and Chestnut, murder at 8 o'clock. 9 o'clock, 52nd and Catherine. I'm sitting here, I'm hearing these shots. 52nd and Catherine, 27th dude, murder. 10 o'clock, 3 people got shot on the corner of 54th and Baltimore. So in a 3-hour span, 3 different shootings, at least 2 dead. And I heard to do 2 separate shootings, and my wife was coming home at that point. So I'm like, I couldn't even get comfortable around that time period. I'm like, yeah, where you at? You home? You safe? Like, I don't know, like, what's going on? And I'm sitting here, like, it's come to like, do I stay and be human capital, be social capital, or do I get low? Or do I get going where I know that I don't have to deal with any of that stuff? And then right now, it's kind of like, I don't even know when I would feel comfortable with my son walking to Malcolm X Park by himself. He's 8 now, right? And I don't even know at what age I'll feel comfortable with him and his friends going to the park. Now, and that's the police and that's the people that I know that frequent the park. So it's all of these things that listen. I was going through that park when it was Black Oak and it was really going down. And I don't want they were shooting heroin in the park back then. And they're not doing that. Just we not heroin, but still, I'm like, shit, I don't want my son going to the park because I remember how dangerous that park. I remember a guy got raped in that park. And so I'm like, man, you can't go to that park by yourself. And so that was 25 years ago, but I'm still like, yo, that part, I don't know, bro.
Listen, you made a great point, and I just want to
hold on, Jimmy. Let's get Corey in because we never know what's going to go on with his Wi-Fi. So, and there ain't no shots. I just want to get you in, brother. I see you ready to clap back. I see you.
No. Ain't no clap back because my Wi-Fi was janky as hell. I just figured out. I called T-Mobile and told them if they don't get my my Wi-Fi situation right, then their money not gonna be right.
So Corey, real quick, we talking about trauma as it relates to Black wealth. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh man, I think trauma is one of the things that keeps Black wealth from being built at the pace that it could be built. Not that it can't be built, but the genetic trauma on top of the external traumas, on top of the systemic traumas, like being Black in this country is rough as hell. You know what I mean? And those who succeed, they hold them up, like Rafiki did the baby in Lion King, and say, it can be done, but it can be done, but systemically is not. If a child is born into poverty here in this country, a Black child, there's a 1 in 100 chance that they'll move there's a 1 in 100 chance that they'll move into the top 10% of earners in this country. A 1 in 100 chance.
Say that one more time for me, Corey.
If a child is born into the poverty level here in America, a black child, there's a 1 in 100 chance that they move from poverty level to top 10% of earners in this country. 1% chance. If you put 100 poor people in a room, 100 poor children in the room, only one of those poor children will move into the 1%. The top 10% of earners in this country.
And that's impacted by so many things, from schooling to, like you said, trauma, and that further exacerbates the wealth gap.
Well, see, and that's one of the things I wanted to point out. Like, that's why I hate to pick yourself up by your bootstraps, people, because a lot of folks don't even have like boots or straps. They don't have anything to like even pull themselves up from. So
or soles on the boots.
Yeah, or soles on the boots, like you said. Right. So Malik said something that's interesting, right? So Corey and I, our company is Buy the Hood, right? And but Buy the Hood doesn't just mean real estate, right? It means buying into each other. It's about Buy the Hood. Actually, it's about Black love. So when we say the hood, we mean our folks and buying into each other. But one of the things Malik said, which is interesting to me, is like a fight that I constantly have with myself. So I had moved away, but I moved back into the inner city, just because I want to, actually live what I talk, because I want the people around to see that, someone who can afford to actually live anywhere I want to, and that, not trying to stun or anything, but I choose to live with my people. Let's put it that way. But it's definitely a struggle, and I know Malik's the same way. Malik can go anywhere he wants to as well, but it's a internal fight I have on a daily basis, because of what Malik just said. Like, you see all these things going around. Crazy story is this past week, I got the I went and upgraded and got the Note 20 Ultra, right? So I'm like setting my phone up and all that, and after a couple of days, I'm like, man, I got the Citizen app, right? So I'm like, man, it's nothing going on around here, and I realized I had to log back in because I got a new phone. I logged back in, that joint start pinging all crazy, like shooting, robbery, rape. I'm like, oh my god, like,
why do you have that app? Why do you have that app?
All right. So, I probably shouldn't have to be honest with you. I had got it at one point for if something had happened and I didn't know what it was, so I downloaded the app to see what it was. Right, like I saw like police and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, what the hell is going on? How I found out was someone told me, like, yo, get the Citizen app. It'll tell you everything that's going on. So I downloaded it, and I had never took it off my phone. And I'm probably like a glutton for punishment. But it was just funny because I'm like, oh man, everything's been peaceful around here. As soon as I log back in, boy, it's just start pinging, ping, ping, ping. I'm like,
that's like you swimming in shark infested waters. As long as you don't look down, be straight, baby.
so I in my formal professional life, when I worked with students with on the autistic spectrum, I used to talk a lot about trauma loops, right? And so what happens is you put a person in a situation where the trauma happens and it sends them right back to the beginning of the loop. So, that happens to Black people all the time. Every time somebody gets killed and we watch that, it sends us right back to the beginning of the loop where, we go from, the trauma happens, we get mad, then we heal a little bit, and then we start to recover. And then as soon as the recovery starts to happen, bam, the trauma loops get started all over again with a new story, and it sends us right back to the beginning where we got to go through that anguish and then the anger and again. And so what I try to tell people is, it's okay to share the stories for information, but to keep sharing it and to keep putting ourselves in that, I see a lot of Facebook posts talking about, Black people are tired. Part of it is you wearing yourself out by keep recycling the loop, by keep starting the loop over again. So what I've started to do is I've started to make one post and say, look, I understand and I acknowledge what happened, but at this point we got to start building and stop talking about this, because the thing that we start to do is look powerless, because every time we start to talk about it and we don't do nothing about it, it gives the other person on the other side of that more power. So we got to start. So we got to work against, work against our normal instincts of what to do. You know what I mean?
Corey, I want to ask you a question. You said something that I found interesting. I just wanted to you get your opinion on it. You said that we have genetic trauma as well. I never thought about that. Could you break down what you meant by that?
So, through what happens is, part of your DNA is, through your mother is your whole ancestral DNA. And so if traumas happen in your ancestral DNA, it's going to get passed down to you.
Yeah.
So that's there's nothing, that this ain't me just talking trash. This is scientific fact.
Okay.
So, if anything happened traumatic in your ancestral DNA, that's going to get passed down generation to generation to generation to generation. And that's not even, that's just facts. So, but I don't want to get stuck there, because at a certain point you're an adult and you got choices. And so you can start to break some of those, those loops. But, that trauma is real, man.
Yeah, but when you think about that, and then everything else that adds on top of that, it's like, sheesh. It's just like, like you said, it's tough. It's tough just being black in this country.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what I won't do? I won't complain, man. Like, I don't, man. Like, you'll never hear me say nothing like Black Lives Matter, or nothing like that. No, man. Black Power. Like, put the affirmative joint on there. Like, that sounds like begging to me, man. Like, put it in the affirmative. Not that I don't, the Black Lives Matter movement. That's something separate. You know what I mean? But you will never hear me talk about, no, I can't breathe. No, man. I ain't never saying no crazy shit like that. Let's talk in the affirmative. Black power.
You know what, Corey? Words have power.
They do.
Not to make this a religious show, but one of the things my mother always drilled into my head, there's a proverb that talks about life and death lies in the power of your tongue. And I always hated when she said that to me. But as I got older, I realized words really do have power. And what you call yourself, you become. And it was funny. I was watching Tiffany Haddish, and she was like, people always called her stupid and dumb when she grew up in that. She internalized it, and she started to believe that she was stupid and dumb. She later found out that people thought she was funny. And so, they said that she was stupid as a way to say she was funny. But, it still had that negative stigma attached to it the whole way.
Yeah, man. Like,
that's absolutely true, man. The words definitely have power. And
I talk about that in our book, man. Words are like a time, they're like a time warp. Words are like a time warp, right? Words give you like we use words to describe people, and then we give them that same energy. Whatever words we use, that's the energy we give them. So if we call somebody a poor person, that's exactly how you treat them. If we call them a rich person, that's exactly how you treat them. And so when words have energy behind them, and they also create action. And
yes,
so,
when you say someone's a doctor such and such, they get treated different just based on those words.
Yeah,
they could be a scum of the earth, but they're doctor fill in the blank.
When I used to sit in my bar and they thought I was a patron, right? Because I used to sit in my bar and buy people drinks when I owned the bar, and when they thought I was a patron. No, this ain't
I'm joking, bro. I'm joking, bro.
Because I used to get shitted on when they thought I was a patron. Like, man, this goofy nigga down here at the bar keep buying all these drinks. Like, who he think he is? He regular like us. And then at the end, when the barmaid come bring me the money at the end of the night, then everybody want to be my friend. Because
you like Billy Ray Valentine in the bar. When
the barmaid come at the end of the night, when we shuffling up the money so we could take it to the bank and and buy drinks for the next day and all of that stuff. When we setting up everything, you know what I mean. And so then everybody found out I was an owner. Then everybody I'm sitting there buying drinks, and then everybody thought I wanted to marry him. You know what I mean? Like, so people will treat you the way they think you are. You know what I mean? Like, because I've never stunted on a person in my entire life on purpose. You know what I mean? That's not what I do, because I think everybody has the same opportunity, as far intrinsically to be whoever they want to be. And so why would I stun on you if you at some point in that process? You know what I mean? Everybody at a different point in the process. So me stunting on you is dumb. You know what I mean?
Right, those jokes, man. Those jokes. I want to step in real quick because Corey brought up something. I just want to talk about this real quick. Dr. Joy DeGruy, post-traumatic slavery syndrome. Corey didn't say that specifically, but that a lot of what he talked about definitely is from her work and from her studies.
Read that.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet. I've been meaning to do it. Listen, this is a Black show. We support Black business. So try to buy this book from a a black store, but I could only find the picture on that big behemoth. But
Yeah.
I think this we should probably do a group read on this and revisit this subject and come back to it. But go ahead, fellas. I just want to get that in there.
No,
Yeah.
I was just, I just thought it was interesting. Some of the points Corey was making. Also, you, Kamara, you talked about how words have power, right? And that's so true because I remember even as a youngster, you hear this in all the rapper stories. My teacher told me I was never going to amount to nothing, right? I used to hear my friends say that when I came home, and I was like, well, in my school, all they tell me is I could be the greatest person I want to be. Like, but then as I got older, I literally saw like the difference in our personalities based upon that, right? It's like it's so much truth to that, and how you talk to the youngsters and how you tell them like what they can achieve, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that it is important that as we try to pour into our youth and our communities that tell them that they can do these things, which is why it's important to have dialogues like this. It's important to highlight Black business owners. You know what I'm saying? Because we talk a lot about representation, but representation does matter, right? Just like words matter. Because if you hear these things or you see these things, you start to believe you can do these things. So I just thought that was an interesting point that you brought up about like how words matter.
Yeah. And so
hold on. I would say this too, Jimmy, just to piggyback on it, not just to the youth, man. I feel like we need to talk more lovingly to
each other. Yeah, that's true. Good point. Good point.
Because all of that, we continue to pass on trauma with the words we use, and I don't think we realize just how much trauma we pass on to one another. But go ahead, Malik. I'm sorry.
No, so I was saying that's one of the things. Like when I worked in public housing, as somebody bought the kid, and I want to make a point to like interact with the kid, have a conversation like with the kid too, make them feel good and have that conversation. But I'm just a regular worker there, to the point where the kids used to enjoy coming in. I used to like enjoy watching them grow. I was at Bloomberg for 4 years, man. So I got to see kids go from Reynolds to start, playing basketball and doing whatever over at Vox, on the island. But I want to say one thing though, is how many of us actually go and get therapy, and like Black men in particular is not a lot. And there's a lot of different reasons. One, we feel like we don't need it. Two, sometimes that weed and that liquor just, a little bit cheaper than the therapy. And then three is like, we go through so much, we carry so much every day that we feel like this thing, we don't even realize, like I didn't realize that I was traumatized. We just feel like, okay, that happened and I'm alive, but not realize what's in the back of our head. Whereas I know a lot of kids that from my camp, I went to most of the kids that was Jewish, like they had therapists 8, 9, 10 years old. Where I only know very few people now, like men in particular, that get therapy. And the one thing is they all say that they feel better after. They all say that it actually helped.
It was I went to therapy. It was forced upon me.
Corey, Malik, I want to talk to that real quick because I work with an organization called Black Men Hill that started right here in Philadelphia, and they've been highlighted nationally. Been on the Breakfast Club. I think I might have talked about them on the show.
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're doing the work and they're trying to destroy the stigma that it's not cool for Black men to go to therapy, and that we just have to be tough and we can't cry, we can't hug, we can't do none of that what we call emo stuff. So they're doing a great job. I think they do it in cohorts of about 30 to 60 people, and they're starting to get some major attention from some major sponsors as well. So yeah,
but I don't even think that we realize how much trauma that we put on ourselves in the community when we lighting candles and balloons on the corner for weeks. Listen, man, when I had my I had a house at 21st and Dolphin, and somebody had got murdered on the house right next to mine, and it was there before I got it. They left those candles and those teddy bears out there. And when it rained, they covered it with plastic. Then they would uncover it when it snowed. It was for a year and a half, teddy bears and plastic and candles on that step. And with kids seeing it every day, and we're like, damn, somebody got killed there. Somebody got killed there. And so you're like Corey said, like you're entering back in that, every time you walk past the candles, like you're re-entering that loop. I know when my dad died, I couldn't even go into that house without crying. If I was there for more than 20 minutes, I would break down like for a few weeks. And my dad died 4 years ago. Last week was the first time that I went into his bathroom because I never went in there, but because when the police came, they said they thought it was a crime scene because there was so much blood, right? And so 4 years later, I just got the courage to enter that room of the house after 4 years.
Wow. Well, congrats, man. That's definitely
that's a breakthrough. That's a breakthrough. That's man. That's tough.
And it's funny, man. I'm glad you shared that story, Malik, because going back to your point again about therapy, but even just sharing those stories of what would quote unquote be perceived not to be cool or not to be tough. I mean, we need to share those. We need to share those stories so we can say, listen, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to share that you felt some kind of way about your dad's death. That's all right. That's fine.
Man, listen, when my grandmother passed away in 97, me and my uncle was the two closest people in the world, and me and my uncle was brawling in the living room the day, like 5 minutes after she died, like, you know what I mean? And we wasn't even arguing about nothing, man. We were just both extra sad, and you know what I mean? Like, I had just got home from work, and it was crazy, like, we just both sitting there sobbing, and then he said something about, clear the room so that the EMTs could come take the body. And, and I was like, clear the room? Ain't nobody clearing nothing. And then it just went south, like insta south. You know what I mean? Like, before the EMTs could even get involved, me and my uncle sitting there at fisticuffs. You know what I mean? And the thing is, 5 minutes later, we was both sobbing in each other's arms because we knew it wasn't even about, you know what I mean? Like, I was 21 years old. You know what I mean? Like, I'm 21. My uncle in his mid 30s. We never to the point where we never even had an argument. You know what I mean? We went from never having an argument to going into fisticuffs inside 5 minutes because of trauma. You know what I mean? Like,
and Corey, that's an interesting point, because one of the things is we're never taught how to deal with conflict either, which goes to Malik's point about, like, having people to talk to. Like, we're just not taught, like, to the point where, like, last week I was dealing with a contractor, and, like, so he owed me a job or whatever, and my first reaction is like, yo, is to get physical. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm a grown man, but it's like, yo, I gotta fall back. Like, that's not how it is. But when you come from certain environments, what you're taught, first thing is go. You know what I mean? Like, and
you don't gotta tell me. Y'all be pulling me back off the ledge a lot. I do. Man, I still be on that edge, man.
But you realize, like, you don't get anywhere with that, right? You don't get anywhere with that.
Not nowhere far. I believe me. I done went down that road enough times to know that you only get a few steps.
And what I'm saying is, and it's funny. I was looking at the comment. That's how Monica put something there. Like, when we're younger, you always taught to man up and do this and then act a certain way, right? So that's how you react to conflict. The first sign of, like, anything is like, yo, this is how I exert my man. Like, but you don't get it. Malik had shared earlier, and I'm like, I was sitting there thinking, like, what the hell? The story you shared about what happened in Mansion, where a dude was sitting there talking to the police, right? And somebody spun the block and clapped him while the boy was talking to the police, and then the police running just grabbed him real quick. So I'm sitting there thinking, like, I don't know what the dude did, but
crazy.
How bad do you gotta want him dead to shoot him in front of cops? How bad do you gotta want somebody dead to shoot them in front of a cop?
I'm thinking, like, what do you, like? But that's my point. My point is, like, a lot of times you take certain actions, and it's like nothing good comes of that for you or the other person. Like, you gotta take time. Like,
I mean, he might have satisfaction. We don't know what the guy did.
I mean, that's true too. Like, if he touched somebody in his family, something like that, I get it. But I'm just sitting there thinking, like, we see a lot of times, like, so when me and Corey go behind the wall and talk to brothers about some of the stuff that goes on, when you actually get to the crux of their story, it don't even be about nothing. It's not about money.
It's always some kind of emotional thing.
Exactly. It's always emo. It's always emo.
Every single time, man. Emo. He can't talk to me like that. She can't talk to me like that. He touched me. She did, like, yo, it get rude. I'm like,
Yeah,
yo,
like that. Hey, look, I was talking.
you could have walked away from that, right? Like,
Man,
and
one of
you
the
know you could have
smartest,
walked away
I
from that.
know, but when
smartest
they
young
said
brothers I
call
met,
back
dog.
a bitch, he gonna take something from you.
Yeah,
You can
but
let
so,
her do that.
but in the
And
grand
then
scheme of
that,
things, in the grand scheme of things,
Hold on, y'all cross talking a little bit. Go ahead.
okay. But no,
so I
so
was,
what I was saying is that I was talking to the guy, my man Rock from Church that the other day, and when I was talking about it, I was like, you know what? What also, how much money would it be in Philly in particular if everybody in the street had life insurance? If we got like 400,000 murders, that's a lot of trauma. But now at least we can get a couple of dollars to the family to help pay for that. Like to think about how much money if everybody had like $100,000 term policy for the murder, the black community would be flowing with money.
There's
You know,
only
and
got to that.
murders would happen though. They make sure we don't murder each other.
Life insurance won't pay out in the commission of a crime. So
well, it don't pay out murder.
No. If you get murdered, the person like
I got you. But I'm saying the commission of the crime. So like if you got murdered in the commission of a crime,
Oh yeah.
oh yeah.
Some of them, I'm not trying to cast and say everybody was killed was guilty, but some of them are. But to your point, Malik, though, September is Life Insurance Awareness Month. I tell people all the time, everybody should have at least $1 million in coverage, because that money can directly go to your next generations, and we don't think about that a lot either. Because to your point, most of us ain't committing crimes, so a lot of these innocent bystanders would be able to get something and leave to the next generation.
To that point of most of us not committing crimes, right? So I was reading Philly Mag, and I was reading an article in Philly Mag, and they were talking about the gun violence in the city, right? And they were saying that 80% of the violence is committed by 3% of the people. I said, holy smoke. They said 80% of gun violence in the city is committed by 3% of people.
Malik said that before you came on.
Well, I'm not surprised.
But also, did you see that I think it was that same article where they layered the poverty map over the gun violence map, and it damn near matched. Like it was damn near matched. It was like, yo, these are the poorest areas of the city, and this is where the gun violence at. And they layered those maps over each other, and it was like boom. Which goes to show you that.
And I say to say like when it like one of the things that I love that I think one of Corey's quotes that I'm gonna carry with me the rest of my life, I'm always gonna give you credit for it. Whether you made it or not, I'm gonna give you credit. And he said like all of the problems that you think are social are also economic, right? And then when you think about
all the way.
Right, so it's yours, and it needs to be a T-shirt. You got it. I love that quote because it's so important when you think about it. When you think about trauma, and you think about how our government, right, kind of like our government, the things that are in our food are being traumatized, a lot of high fructose corn syrup, like a lot of terrible stuff. And then when you think about our government, they don't want to give people in a pandemic, they really don't want to give an extra $400 or $600 a week. But when it comes to incarceration, there is no amount of money that they will not pay. They're willing to pay 40 something up to $100,000 per year per person, but they're not willing to give you an extra $400 to keep you from starving in the pandemic. I mean, and so our government is literally causing a lot of the trauma. Like that's a thing. Our government legislates food shortages. Like if I shared the other day when I went to Linville Orchard year before last, I found out that when they pick apples or whatever off the trees, if it hits the ground, then Linville Orchards cannot sell that apple. So they have a pile of apples over here where you pay to slingshot good apples into the woods. Right? Because our government says you cannot. And so now all these poor people, all this poverty that we can easily feed, but the apple touched the ground, you can't sell that apple.
That's crazy.
No, but that goes on a lot, right? If you go downtown to the restaurant district,
they can't sell that food.
Yo, man, like they can't resell the food. If you I used to work behind Progress Plaza when they first put up the market, and they was throwing away a literal ton of food a week. Like
Listen,
an
man.
actual ton, because and this food wasn't even bad, but it had an expiration date that went out of date, and they couldn't even give it away because they said because this country is so litigious in legal actions that happen, they can't even give the food away without getting sued and worried about losing their business. So it's not even the business's fault, like you said, like because legal action comes to those businesses if they give that food away, they can't even give it away.
They
Yeah,
got
man.
money.
Politics touches us all, but I want to talk about this comment real quick, right? Because and I'm wondering if any of y'all partake in this. But Monica says I've been working on mastering meditation to manage anxiety and anger brought on by trauma. So do any of y'all practice meditation?
I have
Monica, I'm curious, what app do you use, or what technique do you use, or Jimmy, if you know?
Peloton, right? So Peloton has a whole thing on meditation. So like we both been trying to like work on that, and it does help. I tell you one thing it does, like it helps me sleep a lot better. So, and you know, I was amazed at how, like, first of all, how difficult it was to meditate, right? But then once you start to get used to it or what have you, it definitely is something that helps. It definitely something that helps, man. But you know, I just want to say to your point though, Malik, they got money for war but can't feed the poor. You know, the ancestors told you that. He told us already.
Hold on.
I want to get to that. I'm addressing Kamari's question though. So the one thing that I do regret, my father. It's only really two books that my pop was like, yo, you have to read these two books. One, Wash Your Why Guys Have All the Fun. My pop was like, yo, you got to read this. And I read it, changed my life. And the other book, I think it was the Four Agreements. I still hadn't even read it, right? It's all about.
That's a great book.
Fire.
I still haven't even read it. Those are the only two books my pop was like, yo, you got to read these two. And so, matter of fact, I'm gonna jump on that now, and so I can learn those things and like really get on understand meditation and everything.
So I don't try to meditate a lot because I'm pretty. The crazy part is, I sound weird and wild and crazy, but I'm pretty tame most of the time. Like people be thinking I'm angry, and it's just my normal state of being.
Except for Karen show up.
Yeah, I don't play with them. They raise my blood pressure a little bit. Well, but what I do is when I get angry at somebody, especially another black man, and black men go to threats. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. The first thing I do is I meditate to myself. I close my eyes and I say, I will not kill my brother. And that's the first thing that I have to tell myself, because where I'm from, the first thing I do is get the clapper, because I'm from a neighborhood where if somebody say they're gonna do something to you, you gotta believe them. You know what I mean? Like I'm from Philly. Like if somebody say I'm going to my car or I'm going to go get my brother, you gotta believe that person, because you can end up dead for not believing them. So the first thing I gotta do is say I will not kill my brother, and then the next thing I gotta do is I gotta go, because if I stay, that puts me in a situation to have to face the consequences of do I really want to do what's going to be necessary for me to walk away from this without somebody getting hurt. Because I grew up, my uncle taught me how to box, my mom put me in jiu-jitsu, so like I really let these hands go seriously. And then I went to the service and they taught me how to kill people. And so when I combine all my experiences, I be trying to lay low, because I don't even be scared for me, because I understand that as a trained person, that what I'm going to do to them is they not going to come back. They're not going to want to talk when they get back to me. You know what I mean? Right. So I gotta walk away from every confrontation.
But see, a lot of that is even trauma. Like and bringing it back home, like to the main point of the show, right? I was thinking about something. I was having a conversation earlier this week with Malik, right? When we were talking about like showing screenshots of like trades and things that so we have courses, right? We have stock options courses and stock courses, and me and Corey actually had the same conversation this week. So I had a conversation with both of you gentlemen, and I was talking about being afraid to like show some of your successful trades, right? And I know that it kind of holds us back because we show some things to some of the students within our group, but we don't show everything to anyone. And a lot of that is because of trauma and things that you experience. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in the era. I grew up in the era where like you show off money you have, you end up in somebody's trunk. So
Pop Smoke.
just from
Pop Smoke.
yeah, so from growing up with that, it kind of like hinders business in a certain degree, because if we start showing screenshots of what we was getting, like what we were doing, like we would have, we would have way more students, way more sales, way more of that. But you have to like weigh that versus the other side. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so you got to weigh those two things.
So to Jimmy's point, like I would never do a money phone. Like I think that's probably the
not money phone, but
ever. But no, I'm just saying
money phone.
For me, I'm more programmed by the compliance training I've been through, and that's why I don't share a lot of stuff on social, just because I know it could trigger a compliance audit, which I'm not subject to as much, but it's still trauma. It's still trauma.
If we show a trade, we made X amount. See, I'm even afraid to say amounts. Like, and I see this even in real estate. Like, I flip a crib, and I see other people like, "Yo, this came from the closing, and this is what I made." It's like, I'm afraid of that.
Yo,
that's crazy. That's crazy
like
to me.
You can get put in the trunk, like you said. Like, yo, man, listen, man. I've been in the room with a family, got the phone call saying you gotta if you bring X amount of money to the drop point, or we're gonna send this person back in pieces, and then they send them a piece. Like
that's what I'm saying. But that's the error. So that's a different error. So it's like, so to a certain degree, not that it's hindering business, but we know that if we started doing that, what it would do for us. But at the same time, you have to weigh those things. That's all trauma. It's all trauma from the era that we came up in and the areas that we grew up in. You know what I mean? Like, I had this conversation with both of them this week. Like, dog, I can't show something. Like, this week was an amazing week for me in the market. I can't show that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I showed the percentages, but I ain't show how many contracts I had and how much money I made. Ain't no way in the world. I
want to go back to meditation real quick, right? Because I think meditation is a solution to some of the trauma, right? Mm-hmm. And it's something we don't talk about enough. So Sean Takara says, I've been meditating for years. I love it. It's how I begin my day, and sometimes end that way if need be, right? So my meditation journey kind of started with Russell Simmons. I read his book, and he said to meditate 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes at night. I couldn't do that.
Listen, I tried. I read the same book and tried, and it was like the most difficult thing. I was like, yo, I can't sit still. Like, my brain is all over the place.
But I started with 5, and so I can get up to 20 when I get back in my groove. I'm a little off my groove now, but I can do 5 confidently, and I can work my way up. I really believe that if we practice that as a community, I think it would help clear away some of the trauma and therapy too.
Man, listen, if you bring resources to the community, people who got hope don't kill each other. That's what we need to do. We need to bring resources and money to people, because people who got money don't kill people, not on purpose. Like,
unless they hire somebody to do it.
Yeah, like they hire people to kill people. They don't do that. They don't do it themselves.
Listen,
check this out. This is Black Boys Home. This looks pretty deep. They train. Black Boys Home is a Black-owned yoga and meditation organization in Atlanta. So that's pretty hot.
That's dope.
Go ahead, Corey.
No, I was gonna say something that Corey said, right? You said that you think like, I don't want to harm my brother, and I think that's an amazing point, because any of us that have siblings know, like, you'll argue with your brother or sister, you do, but you'll never try to like cause physical. I mean, even if you fight them, but you're never trying to kill them. The fact of the matter is, most of us don't look at each other as brother and sister, even if we say it as slang, like, "What's up, brother? What's up, sister?" We don't really look at that. We don't really feel that way, because if you really felt that way, you would get angry, but you wouldn't take it there. You know what I mean? If you really look at someone as being your brother, your sister.
But it's like, soon as somebody threatened me, I roll out, because at that point I got to take you seriously, and then I got to defend myself to whatever threat that you said. So at that point, I got to remove myself from the situation.
What I'm saying is, if we really, really, all of us, not just you, but all of us, looked at each other as really being brothers and sisters, like, if we really looked at each other that way, which all goes back to Black love, like how we feel about each other.
Yeah, man. Like, I really don't want nothing to happen to you, but I can't allow you to take me away from my family. So my I gotta go. You know what I mean? If you'll let me go, I'll go. But if you won't let me go, then I gotta defend myself in whatever way. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do it, but we so angry toward one another. Like, that's the reason why. Like, I lived in the hood I lived in the hood till about 4 years ago, and my son was in a daycare there. My son was in a daycare on Garnett and York, which is between 20th and 19th and York. And a homeboy of mine, was in the life. He had created the daycare, and he spent all that money on the daycare. That joint was amazing. And then he was in there checking on it, and they shot this man 38 times in a daycare.
In a daycare. Oh my God.
Listen. I had just picked up my son. I'm walking down the street, and I heard what like it sounded like a damn like a 50 cal was going on. And I turn around, and it's 3 young boys firing into a daycare. You know what I mean? And
talk about trauma.
And I got my son in my hand.
Yeah. Talk about.
And I keep even, all I see is 3 young boys firing into a daycare, and all I can think to do is get my son, to safety. You know what I mean? But they hit the daycare workers, and they hit him 38 times, and they hit the daycare workers. And the daycare workers didn't die, but you know what I mean? I'm like, damn, yo, like that's crazy. And then when the story came out about why it happened, it was because he told him to get off his steps and stop selling drugs on his stoop because it's a daycare right there.
Right.
Oh my God.
That's crazy. But listen, as we wrap up that segment and we keep the show moving, everybody, let's take some positive steps to check in on our mental health, check in with our folks, be conscious about it. And again, I do want to highlight what Corey said, right? And what Jimmy just, kind of piggybacked on. Let's be more conscious of really looking at our people as our family. And I know we don't always like our family, but like Jimmy said, 9 times out of 10, we ain't gonna hurt them if we can avoid it. So, please do that. But moving right along, Black Joy moment of the week. Anybody have any Black Joy moments of the week?
Are we going to okay, I was gonna say before that, are we still gonna do our business icon? Are we gonna do that this week? Or
That's next.
Okay. All right, cool, no problem. Go ahead.
So
You got it,
so speaking of self-healing, self-help, I had a negative interaction with somebody that I know from college on social media, and it really went left. And what I said, he was offended. What he said to me, I was offended. And normally would be like, well, I'm gonna see you in the yard. So damn, it be 5 years from now, but homecoming one day, I run into you and handle that. But what I did for me is I called him up and I told him my grievance was, how I felt like he wronged me. And we talked it out, and that's growth. We could have easily like, man, F you, delete, block, I keep you in the yard, but I was like, you know what? It's no point. Like, look, there's no point let this linger. Something that can be handled with a phone call. Plus, he do good work. I can't front. Like he does good work. So it's not like somebody didn't care about anyway. But like I said, still, I think that without being long-winded, I think that social media really cheapens relationships. And before, we only had like a small group of people that we record with, but now we access to thousands of people. It's easy, like, you forget who you was even friends with, who you follower. As followers we never even see. It's easy to block, delete, move on, whatever. And so relationships really get cheapened. And so I was like, you know what? I'm not going to throw him away from one negative interaction. That's what I was doing.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything for the week?
I got man. Go, Corey.
Yo, man, I'm visiting my pop, man. Yo, I'm seeing my old head. Man. I get around the country a little bit, man. I'm poor folks, but poor folks, but I can afford gas. So
we gotta watch our words, right, Corey?
Yeah, man. Well, hey, listen.
No, say I'm broke. I'm broke, baby.
I'm broke. I'm gonna put that out there into the ether so the people out there believe me. I want that energy out there. I'm broke. But anyway, that's exactly the energy I want out there. But no, man, I'm getting to see my old head. I come, I visit them. Like when I was a kid, I used to visit 3 or 4 times a year, and now, I'm getting back so my kids can see my pop. You know what I mean, and get to see him as much as I did when I was a kid. So, You know what I mean? I've been on vacation the whole summer, so I got to see my pop 3 or 4 times this one summer, and that's good. You know what I mean? Because normally I see him 3 or 4 times a year. I didn't see him 3 or 4 times in the last 2 months. So you know what I mean? Me and my old head is reconnecting on a different level.
That's what's
That's
up.
what's up.
That's what's up. That's legacy right there.
Mhm.
What you got, Jimmy?
For me, it's just seeing so many people that look like me engaged in the markets. Like I know a lot is going on because of like Tesla and Apple, but just to see this many folks like talk about stocks and investing, and even like what we've been doing the last couple of Fridays in terms of these option talks, like to me, that was just a black joy moment to see so many people, so many black folks talking about investing, right? And even with what you guys do, right? So all of us create content individually, then we come together for the Black Wealth Project. And I realized like between like watching Kamari's show or watching the content Malik puts out, or even, Courtney and Tracy, when Tracy's showing homes, and even when Jasmine's doing with real estate, and some other folks like, Wall Street Trapper, Earn Your Leisure, all these different people that are creating content, I realized, that's all I'm consuming now. I don't even have to go to those other folks to even get my stock information or follow what's going on in the market, because there's so many brilliant black folks creating content. And it hit me this week as I was like watching so many folks have these conversations. I'm like, damn, and this is one of the good things about social media, Malik, because I used to feel like I was a weirdo because I was the only one who cared in my neighborhood, right? I'm following the markets, I'm following the real estate market, and Cats is like, yo, I don't want to hear that. But now you find your tribe. And it's just a dope feeling to see this many folks that look like me actually interested in these topics and in building black wealth.
It's so funny you say that, Jimmy, because I'm like the same guy in my crew. I'm talking about stocks, they don't want to hear about that. Talking about tax, they don't want to hear about that.
Yeah, I don't want to hear about that bull, Sharif.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they say verbatim. But because I wanted to say something to Corey earlier, but we kind of got off track. I wanted to say that some people, when you brought up the comment about poor people need money, I think they also need help a lot of times, because a lot of times they have mental things going on. But to tie it all together, a lot of us, we make good money, but we won't talk about the money, or we won't talk about it, have the conversations about it. So
because you get put in the trunk for talking about the money.
That's trauma. Tied all together. Trauma.
There you go.
I would talk about money all day. I would talk about money to my people, and I would tell them exactly how much I make. I ain't got nothing to hide. But but the thing about it is, if I'm telling you how much money I got and you don't got none, then you're gonna try to meet me in the middle. You know what I mean? You're gonna try to catch me in traffic. I'm good.
Don Johnson says there's a black wealth renaissance going on.
That is a fact.
I agree. I agree. All right. Well, as we get ready to close out, as a recommendation from Don Johnson said we need to have a Black Business Icon segment of every week. So this week, Jimmy is going to present our Black Business Icon. So Jimmy, take it away.
First off, salute to Don for all the support for the Black Wealth Project, as well as all of our individual content as well. So I was trying to find someone that is still active, that maybe flew under the radar. And my wife actually gave this one to me because the conversation we were having is about building black businesses, but also doing the work from the inside of these big institutions. Because I'm of the belief that we need to be putting in the work externally, but also internally, in terms of creating our own big companies, but also getting inside these companies and maneuvering, creating opportunities for other people to look like us. So Judith Batty, I don't know if you have the link you want to pull up, Kamari.
Yeah, I got it. 1 second. Go on, Jimmy. I got you.
Yeah, so Judith Batty, she's the CEO of the Girl Scouts of America. And many people don't know that the Girl Scouts of America is a multi-million-dollar operation. Like, it's a huge operation. And she's the first Black woman to lead this organization. She's a board member. She also was a council of she was the first Black council of one of the gas companies. I forgot which gas company it was that she had worked for. ExxonMobil. It was ExxonMobil. She was like the first chief legal counsel of ExxonMobil, but she's now the CEO of Girl Scouts of America, which is a major accomplishment. And this is someone who's still out there, putting on for folks that look like us and creating opportunities for folks that look like us within this organization. So I thought that was amazing because she's a trailblazer. So, and she came from ExxonMobil, where she was one of the top dogs there. And she does a lot of work in to build up like STEM education and empower Black women around the world.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope. A good call, Monica.
Yeah, I can't take credit because she pointed it out for me. I was telling her my criteria. I said, well, I'm trying to find someone. She was like, well, how about her? So I thought, and after I read her story, I was like, yeah, that is a good one because, she made her way to the top of one organization and then maneuvered to become the top dog at another one.
Exactly.
And she's giving back, trying to help other women of color that, Black women. I hate that term. But anyways, she's helping other Black women and she's working with different STEM projects to help them.
And you said something earlier, Jimmy. Representation truly matters. So now, because Girl Scouts is predominantly white, but there is a big Black contingent in there now. More Black little girls get to see this giant of a sister that's running things and is large and in charge. So I think it's dope. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, folks. As we get ready to wrap up, I always ask the panel, how can we support you? So Corey, how can we and the panel and the rest of the audience support you?
$$ COREYCAMP. The Bitcoin fund grew by $20 last week. Y'all love me enough that y'all want to see me get the hell out of here. Send me some Bitcoin to Cash App. $COREYCAMP. Support that. No, seriously though, you don't really gotta support that. I just be talking trash. I buy my own Bitcoin, but I appreciate the couple dollars that y'all have sent to the Bitcoin. Corey, go to the moon with Bitcoin. But really to support us, go to our YouTube channel, right, and check out all of the good stuff we got there at By the Hood, YouTube/By the Hood, and we get busy, man. Like we got all kinds of shows, and Malik and Kamari been on our show. You want to go if you want to see about Black representation, man. We done had all the Black Twitter on our show. So if you want to go see what Black Twitter look like, come to our show and look at it. Everybody there. Like Twitter Auntie is on there. All of them. EYL is on there. Our show, we really get to it with people that get to it. So if you want to support us, go there and go get that information.
All right. Malik, what you got going?
So, I really have a big ask this week for everybody. I need everybody to put their heads together and figure out how we can stop Peter Thiel and Palantir, and how we can stop Elon Musk from putting microchips in people now that he put them in pigs. Let's put our heads together. I don't want my grandkids to have a microchip in their head, and I don't want Palantir just doing whatever they want with the private army of spies. So that's it.
Yeah. Have you heard of Singularity before, Malik?
No.
Yeah, Singularity is basically when the merger between tech and human beings kind of comes together. Mm-hmm. And they're saying it's coming like tomorrow.
I'm scared. I am afraid. I'm afraid.
Listen,
man. I've been to a conference and see some of the stuff that's being worked on with AI, and it'll freak you out. But I'm not trying to make anyone lose any sleep right now. But
all right, well, listen, my ass this week is to go watch or go listen to the Finance Rebel Show. And if you look there, part of my Black Boy Joy or Black Joy moment this week is I finally got my interview up with Malik Carter. So he said I almost made him cry. I hope I was asking some good questions because Malik actually has a great story. Mm-hmm. He needs to tell it more. But hopefully I can help tell it and share it. So go listen to the Finance Rebel Show. Do me a favor. Listen to it, subscribe to it, and rate it. And get back to me and tell me how you like it.
Yeah. Real quick, my ask for this week, just to echo Corey's sentiments, but also go to facebook.com/bythehood and make sure you check us out there. But also go to YouTube, hit the like button, share those videos. We've had several Black millionaires on our show. Corey just laid it out. People from all different walks of life We have a crypto trader coming on this week. So just it's a lot of amazing content there, and we're sharing more content. We're going like, one piece of content a day on YouTube. So just make sure that you go there, watch a couple of videos, give us some feedback, leave some comments, share those videos. We definitely would appreciate that because we do believe representation matters, and we want to continue to share those videos. And if you if you know anyone that's also interested in coming on our show, if you're interested in anything like that, then make sure you hit us up. You know what I mean? You can leave a private message on our Instagram page, which is instagram.com/bythehood, or right on Facebook, facebook.com/bythehood. So we're all over the place at By the Hood, but our objective is to share these stories of people doing positive work in the community that look like us.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. Thanks for watching. Now, listen, thinking about trauma, right? We got some action items for you. Think about meditating. Just take 2 minutes a day, close your eyes, and just sit there and just listen to whatever's going on.
Be still.
Yep, and be still. That's it. It doesn't have to, it's nothing fancy. It's nothing sexy. It's just literally you sitting there, closing your eyes, and listen to the raindrops or the kids playing or the insects chirping. So,
hey, one last drop real quick. And like most people in the health insurance plans at their job, you can get therapy for free. And you can even use your sick days and take off to go to the therapist at your job. So it's free. You might as well, go to Magellan. If I get the contract, Magellan is like the one to get to all the contracts.
And if y'all know of any black therapists, share them in the group. I want to, because I listen to myself. I want to sit down with a therapist, just to talk some things through. But I'm looking for,
You can call me. You can call me.
I already bother you enough, man. But yeah, man, hit the group up though.
All right, everybody. Again, thank you all for joining us. We're honored that you're here with us every week. We appreciate you. But listen, share us with a friend, share us with a family member. We're trying to elevate the overall financial education in our community and help us do it. So again, we appreciate you all, and we'll see you next Sunday at 7 p.m. ish. Have a great night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Peace.